The prisoner in Versailles. Eisenhower trapped. December 20, 1944. Versailles, France. Headquarters of the Supreme Allied Commander. Inside a grand palace office once used by French royalty sat General Dwight D. Eisenhower. The most powerful man in Europe. The man who commanded millions of soldiers, thousands of tanks, and the full might of the Allied air forces. But on this winter night Eisenhower was not free. He was a prisoner. Not a prisoner of the Germans. Not a prisoner of the Nazis. He was a prisoner of his own army. Outside his door heavily armed military police stood guard. Every hallway was patrolled. Every staircase watched. Tanks blocked the gates. Barbed wire surrounded the building. Every window was sealed. Eisenhower was forbidden from leaving. He was forbidden from driving. He was forbidden from walking in the gardens. The Supreme Allied Commander was locked inside his own headquarters. Why? Because American intelligence had received a terrifying report. A report that elite German commandos had slipped into France. They were wearing American uniforms. Driving American jeeps. Carrying American weapons. Speaking perfect English. And their mission was simple. Find Eisenhower. Kill Eisenhower. Eisenhower paced the room. He smoked cigarette after cigarette. His jaw clenched with anger. "I feel like I am in a cage," he muttered to his aide. What Eisenhower did not yet know was that the danger was not only aimed at him. The Germans were tearing the U.S. Army apart from the inside. They were spreading fear so deep that American soldiers began arresting their own generals. This is the true story of Operation Greif. The day Hitler unleashed his scar-faced commando. The chaos of the imposter war. And the brutal justice that followed. Enter Scarface Otto Skorzeny. To understand the panic that paralyzed the Allied command, you must first meet the man who caused it. Otto Skorzeny. He was a giant of a man standing over 6 feet 4 inches tall. A long jagged dueling scar ran down his left cheek. The Allies called him Scarface. American intelligence called him the most dangerous man in Europe. Skorzeny was not a normal soldier. He was Hitler's favorite commando. In 1943 he had pulled off one of the most daring raids in history. German gliders landed on a mountaintop in Italy. Skorzeny stormed a remote hotel fortress and rescued dictator Benito Mussolini from captivity without firing a single shot. Hitler adored him. By October 1944 the Third Reich was collapsing. Allied armies were closing in from every direction. The end was near. But Hitler still believed in miracles. He summoned Skorzeny to the Wolf's Lair. There Hitler revealed his last great gamble, the Battle of the Bulge. A massive surprise attack meant to split the Allied armies and force a negotiated peace. But Hitler needed chaos. He needed fear. He leaned forward and told Skorzeny, "I want you to create a special unit. They will wear American uniforms. They will carry American weapons. They will drive American jeeps. They will go behind enemy lines. They will change road signs. Cut telephone wires. Spread confusion. Give false orders." Skorzeny smiled. He knew what this meant. It was a suicide mission. Under international law, any soldier captured fighting in enemy uniform is not a prisoner of war. He is a spy. And spies are executed. Skorzeny accepted without hesitation. The mission was code-named Operation Greif the Griffin. The Trojan Horse Germans in American uniforms. Skorzeny went to work immediately. He searched the German army for men who could speak English, not just English but American English. He wanted men who knew slang. Men who chewed gum. Men who understood baseball. He found about 150 men who spoke fluent English. Many were former sailors who had worked on American merchant ships. Others had studied at American universities before the war. Then came the disguises. Captured American jeeps. Stolen Sherman tanks. Uniforms stripped from dead soldiers. Dog tags. Cigarettes. Chocolate bars. Maps and papers. Skorzeny built a secret training camp. He taught his men how Americans walked loose and relaxed. He taught them how Americans swore. How they smoked. How they opened cigarette packs. They became the 150th Panzer Brigade. Their mission was simple. Become the enemy. On December 16, 1944, the German offensive exploded across the Ardennes forest. While panzers smashed through the front line, Skorzeny's jeeps slipped through the chaos. The Trojan horse was inside the gates. The chaos begins. The first days were madness. American units were retreating. Roads were clogged with refugees and convoys. Nobody knew who was who. Skorzeny's commandos went to work. Near a crossroads outside Malmedy, an American regiment tried to reinforce the front. They saw a military policeman directing traffic. He waved them down a side road. The entire regiment drove straight into a German ambush. The MP was one of Skorzeny's men. In another sector, a telephone line was cut. An American commander could not call for artillery support. His unit was overrun. Then one of the impostors made a mistake. December 17, near the town of Awale, 2 American soldiers grew suspicious of a jeep carrying 4 men in U.S. uniforms. Their papers looked perfect. But something felt wrong. One soldier noticed the driver was wearing German boots. They stopped the jeep. Password. The men hesitated. Get out. The Americans searched the vehicle. German pistols. Radio codes. A roll of cash worth thousands of dollars. The interrogation was brutal. The German commando knew he would be shot if the truth came out. So he told the truth and added a lie. He said, "We are not just cutting wires. We are here for the general. Skorzeny is in Paris. He has a team of assassins. They are going to kill General Eisenhower." The report hit Allied headquarters like a bomb. They are coming for Ike. The security services panicked. They believed Skorzeny was capable of anything. They imagined German super soldiers sneaking into Versailles with silenced pistols. General Bedell Smith, Eisenhower's chief of staff, ordered a total lockdown. Barbed wire around the building. Tanks at the gates. Double guards. Snipers on rooftops. And Eisenhower was confined to his office. The Supreme Allied commander was under house arrest. Eisenhower was furious. He walked the halls muttering. He wrote to his wife, "I am a prisoner. I cannot go out. I cannot do my job because of some German bluff." But the paranoia did not stop there. It spread through the entire U.S. Army. Suddenly every American soldier was a suspect. The baseball trivia test. How do you spot a German spy wearing American uniform? Papers could be forged. Uniforms could be stolen. Passwords could be learned. So the soldiers invented a new test. American trivia. Checkpoints sprang up across France and Belgium. MPs stopped every jeep, even those carrying generals. They pointed Thompson submachine guns and asked questions no German could answer. Who won the World Series in 1940? What is the capital of Illinois? Who is Mickey Mouse's girlfriend? What is the nickname of the Chicago Cubs? If you failed, you were arrested. Private or colonel, it did not matter. General Omar Bradley, Eisenhower's closest friend, was stopped on his way to the front. What is the capital of Illinois? Springfield, he replied. The MP shook his head. Wrong, you are under arrest. Bradley spent 2 hours in detention before his identity was confirmed. Another general was arrested for not knowing the name of movie star Betty Grable's husband. The army was arresting itself. Skorzeny had frozen the Allied command without firing a shot. Imagine an army where you cannot trust the man beside you. That was the imposter war. The hunters become the hunted. While Eisenhower sat locked inside Versailles, the counterintelligence corps went hunting. They distributed wanted posters of Otto Skorzeny. They interrogated thousands of soldiers. They searched every road. At a bridge near the Meuse River, 3 men in U.S. uniforms were caught planting explosives. A guard noticed their dog tags were in their pockets. Real GIs wore them around their necks, hands up. The imposters surrendered. They were Manfred Pors, Gunther Billing, Wilhelm Schmidt. They confessed. They were part of Operation Greif. They were spies. There would be no prison camp. The punishment was death, the firing squad. December 23, 1944. Henri Chapelle, Belgium. 3 wooden posts stood against a stone wall. Snow fell quietly. The 3 German commandos were marched out, still wearing American uniforms. Their insignia had been ripped off. A white target was pinned over each heart. Hundreds of American soldiers gathered to watch. These were the men who caused the panic. These were the men who made them doubt their own brothers. A chaplain said a prayer. Black hoods were placed. 12 riflemen stepped forward. Ready. Aim. Fire. The bodies slumped forward. Justice was served. The executions were filmed. Photographed. The message was clear. If you wear our uniform, you die. Over the following weeks, 18 more of Skorzeny's men were executed. The rest fled back to Germany and threw away their American disguises. The mission was over. The truth comes out. Back in Versailles, Eisenhower still remained under guard. The security team believed Skorzeny himself was still hunting him. On Christmas Day, Eisenhower had enough. He walked past his guards and said, "I am going to my quarters and I am walking." He marched through the snow, refusing to live in fear. Days later, another German spy was captured. He revealed the truth. There was no assassination squad. Skorzeny never left Germany. The Paris cafe meeting was a lie. The entire story was planted to spread panic. Eisenhower had been imprisoned for 2 weeks because of a rumor. When he heard the truth, he laughed. But it was a bitter laugh. Skorzeny had played a mind game and won. Scarface walks free. Otto Skorzeny surrendered in May 1945. He walked out of the woods tall, scarred and arrogant. He expected to be executed. Instead, he was put on trial for using enemy uniforms. The prosecutors wanted him hanged. But Skorzeny had a surprise witness, a British commando leader who admitted British units had done the same thing. The court was stunned. Skorzeny was acquitted. The most dangerous man in Europe walked free. He died peacefully in 1975. The weapon of fear. Operation Greif failed militarily. It did not capture bridges. It did not stop the Allied advance. But as a psychological weapon, it was a masterpiece. A few dozen men in stolen jeeps paralyzed the U.S. Army. They made generals fear privates. They made soldiers arrest their commanders. They turned the supreme Allied commander into a prisoner. It proved a terrifying truth. In war, fear is as powerful as any tank. And sometimes a lie is deadlier than a bomb. This was the imposter war. The war of shadows. The war of fear. And for 2 weeks in December 1944, the most powerful man in Europe sat trapped in a palace, a prisoner of a rumor.